it's your daddy is falling coming up on trust.
Yo, 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 what's up? This is John from JJ Innovation Growers in the Peach Capital of the state, baby. What's everybody doing today? What's up, Scoot? Can't hear you. Oh, I know, I had it muted. We'll give it a little bit and see if we get some more people in here. I talked to Ray this morning. Ray, number one, I talked to him this morning. He was pumping shitters this morning when I talked to him. So, did you get to see the community post, Scoot? Where I posted in the post about the stories from yesterday, the fish and the frogs. Did you see that? What's up, Dusties? Another thing you can't do, you can't play the radio in the background. You can't play the radio. I got somebody here I'm fixing to show you. Yeah, you can't play the radio in the background because if you do, you get copyrighted and they mute.
That makes sense.
They mute it.
Not even if you put on there like music's not.
Yeah, I've tried it. Like you put on there and say.
Well, how do they do it on all these other shows?
I don't know. I'm still learning. I know 88. I know 87 SS Boy. He's got some video. He's got music in his, and he says that it's approved through YouTube Studio, which you have to do on a desktop, and I don't have a desktop or a laptop. So they'll give you music that you can play that is not copyright infringed, but if the radio's playing in the background, it'll pick it up, the AI will pick it up, and it'll say your video's been muted due to copyright issues.
You're gonna have to start writing your own music now.
Well, actually, that's funny that you say that because there's a guy that follows me. He won 2 Grammys last year, a music writer, and he's actually local. And he sent me a message and we were talking, blah, blah, blah. And I said, hey, man, he said, man, why don't you put no music in your channel and stuff? I said, because I get copyright. He said, only if you knew somebody that could write original music. And I was like, well, hook a brother up. Yeah. So we'll see. There's Ray. There's Ray. All right, boys and girls. We're going to give it 2 minutes where it gets up to 5 minutes. And then I'm going to show you what we got going on today. And another thing you can't do on live, you can't I can't comment. Like they're commenting right now, running the feed, and I'm reading their comments, but I can't comment back. I have to read back.
They have all sorts of stuff to keep you from having fun.
And then I can do. Yesterday we tried to do a poll, and we done questions. Like I put a question blog up, and it'll pop up in the corner, and then they can answer the question. And when they answer the question, it goes into the news feed. So everybody. Yep. All right, so I'm gonna show y'all what I got going on the truck. So I got the parts. We got a few people in here, so we're gonna go ahead and go. We're not gonna stay on here long. Where's the light at? Oh, so we want to see you eat frog. You want to see me eat some frog legs? What in the world? We got to get some first. It's springtime yet. We got to get some. All right. So let me turn this camera around and I'll show you what we got. Oh, I want to let y'all know. I took one for the team yesterday. Right, let me show you. You can't see it, but right there on my screen. a welding ball bounced across the screen and hit that glass on my phone and burn a hole in the glass of my phone. So, all right, so look, let me show you what we got going on. Don't pay no attention to them feet over there. We'll talk about that in a minute. All right, so we want to see you eat. Oh, so here is the Y pipe. Now I'm fixing to take all this out, but this is the Y pipe that actually originally was right here. But y'all remember we had to raise the exhaust up 2.5 inches to clear the frame rail. So what we did is, y'all remember when we watched it live, when we took all the bolts out, I moved this down. Like I said, I'm gonna clean these welds up. This is new pipe, this is old pipe, so it didn't like it when I was welding it. So there we go with her to that side, and then we put a 90. Remember last night we put a 90, and then I went to the store this morning and got a 45, and then got the 45, and then run the 45 up to the exhaust flange up there. There's the new studs that we put in the other night. So I have it tacked here, and I have it tacked here, and I have it tacked here. This side over here is already welded up. So now what I have to do is I'm gonna come right here, and I'll make a mark right here so I know where to grab for potentially an exhaust isolator here. Also, I talked to the muffler shop, and they said that they had straight pieces. So once I get the exhaust, the muffler, and all that stuff in, then they said put the catalytic converter in, put the muffler in, get all that hanging, and then when it get to the very end, bring it to their shop, and then we will use their bender, and we will bend a piece to go over the rear end and out the back. So I'm going to watch, but I'm driving. Yeah, Ray, don't crash the shitter truck, for sure. Don't want to be responsible for that. So that is that. All right. So let me get out from underneath here. Oh, yeah. Woo. Ray, I went to 3 different places this morning to get that receptacle, and nobody had it. So let me show you what I did. Do not try this at home. It is dangerous. So I put it in there, and I zip tied the ground to the other side so it would stay in position. And then I put this piece of tube in there to hold it, to cover it up, so we could use the welder today. All right, so let's get to the 68. Like I said, I'm not gonna be on here long. Let me show you what we got going on. So on the 68, you know, I told y'all we're gonna do a functional ram air, cold air intake, intercooler pipe, whatever you want to call it. So the idea, the theory behind it, is to build a box, a fresh air box, behind this bumper, and to make a flange here. So me and Jeremiah, I'm going to show y'all Jeremiah here in a minute. We talked about we're going to put a metal flange on this, and he is making a template now out of flashing. And then once we get this template made, we'll transfer that template over to some aluminum, and then we'll make a box out of aluminum, and then we'll fasten it to the flange. Also, there's going to be a space in between. We're talking about where we can remove it. So when you look into the hole, we'll either put expanding metal in there, some stainless steel mesh. He brought up an idea this morning about maybe putting a logo in there. We talked about putting some lights in there, you know, something, you know, because we got the LED lights over here in the bumper. So if we could figure out some way to put a shadow light in there where it shadows down. I mean, we could even, something as simple as come right here and just drill a hole right here, and drill a hole here, and drill a hole here. And they have little button LED lights that we could just push them up through it. And then when the running lights come on, the LED light will just shine down and just be a silhouette into the pocket. So there's a lot of different ideas that we're running through our heads to see if we come up with. So then the other part, once we get kind of the box made, template, then we can measure to see what kind of air filter I can find. So then we can go with that with an air filter, because I didn't want to order an air filter and then try to build a box around an air filter because we don't know how big the box is. So he's over there making templates to build a box, and then once we get the box where it fits, where it needs to go, then I can look online, go to Air Raid or K&N and just go through their whole air filter index and try to find a filter to fit our box. If not, then we'll just have to regroup and do whatever we need to do. But if you remember, the 4-inch tubing is going to come through here, and then it's going to come up. I might have to trim this a little bit, but that's okay if we have to trim a little bit of that to clear the 4-inch. Then the 4-inch is going to come up, and it's going to turn into that. Also, I got this 1.5 inch radiator pipe. It's supposed to be here today or tomorrow, so we can reroute the water neck down and over to grab right there, so we can clear the fresh air intake. So that's what we're doing there. And then we also talked about the exhaust. So I got the exhaust made to about right here. It's 3-inch exhaust. There's the cross member. So the 3-inch exhaust comes out of that cross member. And now the client wants to come over the frame rail, come down, and come straight out. I'm gonna try to convince him not cutting a hole in the bedside, but if that's what he wants, that's what I'll do. What's up, Adventure? What time is 12:30? 1:30, 2:30, 3:30, 4:30, 5:30, 6:30. Well, it's 7:30 at night at your place, ain't you? Fixing to be in the future, all right? So that's that. So I'm gonna show you what we got going on. Oh yeah, for the ones that didn't come in part 2 last night, we built another stand last night. So I gotta go look in the bone pile to get a piece that goes across from the top, all right? So right here, this is what he's got going on. So he's just took some of this flashing metal, he's put some bump lines, and this is all off the hip, right? Just doing this. Where are you? And then he's bump breaking it over here in the bump to get it to section, but we'll go from there. But anyways, I don't know, he might be camera shy, boys and girls. I don't know, he might. I'll show y'all here in a second. I don't know what that is. All right, so this is what we're doing. So he's using this little bump brake. This little tool right here is, it's actually a shear, a brake, and a roller all in one. This is the part number 2 Alpha Charlie 30 Alpha. This is a Dayton, but Harbor Freight's got one of these. You can find them online. Granger's got them. I found this one on Marketplace a few years ago. And actually the guy had a bunch of other stuff, but then when I called him back he had a box brake, he had a nice 52-inch box brake, then he had a nice 52-inch leaf brake, up to 16 gauge, and I was going to get it, and then when I called him back, the lady that answered the phone told me that he had passed away due to complications with the flu. So unfortunately, I didn't get those pieces. So the way this thing works is these are finger brakes, and you can take them out if you need to, so it goes from wide all the way down to narrow, but we're not taking them out. But when you go to use this bump brake, all you do is just pull this handle, And it does all three into one. So it's a shear, a bump brake, and a roller. But when you're using the bump brake, you gotta make sure that die is even. Make sure the finger is even in the die. Because if the die is off one way or the other, if you're doing big heavy stuff, which this thing's not designed to, you could freeze up this die into this finger, and then you'd have to pack. You'd either have to pack dry ice around it to freeze it so you can get it out, or you have to cut it and start all over. Had to do that a bunch of times at K&M, didn't they?
Yeah, those big dies.
When those, what was that, in a 100 ton?
60.
Yeah, 60.
Cincinnati 60, like an old school.
So at the shop that he worked at before, my dad's worked at, I worked there a little bit, they had a 60-ton Cincinnati old brake. And when the die would come down, I mean, it's huge. And if you don't know what you're doing and check it like you're supposed to, and you bring this die down and it's gear driven and it's 60 tons of force, it pinches it and it can't come out. It won't pull, it won't come out, it won't go down, it won't nothing. You have to build a trough around the whole thing. What that thing was, like 12 foot?
14 foot.
So it was a 14-foot die, and then they had to build boxes around it several times and pack it full of dry ice to freeze, to make everything contract so they could get it out. And
If it had been a hydraulic, you could have just bled it off, but because it was mechanical.
yeah, so it was gear driven, like he was saying, it was gear driven. So it had to make a full revolution before it could pull up. But like he said, if it was hydraulic, you could release the hydraulics off of it and it'd pull itself back. But being that it was gear driven, it wouldn't do it. And there were some times that they couldn't get it out, and then you have to cut the finger brake, the tooling out of it. And I promise you, you don't want to pay for that, because them things are thousands and thousands of dollars. Thousands of dollars. Got fingerprints on the lens, so. You want to tell them what you're doing?
So we trying to come up with these templates. This should be the bottom of the air box, I think. Yeah. And then this is the top of the air box, and they'll go together. And once we get it all figured out, we'll put them together, mount them on there, figure out the rest of everything else, take it back apart, flatten them out, and make pieces out of aluminum just like these. And then TIG weld it all up nice and pretty, and it'll be right nice.
So how are you going to attach the top part and the bottom part just for temporary
We're just
comfort?
gonna run rivets down the side. I overdone them to where they can overlap like this. So we can just pop some pop rivets in there. And we'll probably adjust it out to where it's tapered kind of like that, whenever it all goes together. It'll probably be a little bigger, a little taller at the front to allow for the pipe to go in and have enough room for the clamping and everything.
What's that disc laying there on that? What's that?
That's gonna be the coupling connector for the different pieces of the aluminum charge pipe.
Gotcha. So what's those, for the ones that don't know, those purple lines, what's the purpose of those?
Are all the brake lines, so we can just keep up with where we're putting bends in the material. It's nice if you have somewhere that can computer generate all this, but we don't work at those places anymore, so now we do it off the hip.
That's right.
We just start with an idea and slowly work until we get there, which is the point of the sheet metal. It's a lot easier to work with than it is the aluminum that we're actually going to build it out of. And a lot of people use cardboard, but cardboard, that chipboard and stuff, you can't just bend like this. It's more of like you tape stuff together and things like that. This, we can sort of check the process that we're using to see if it's even going to work, and we're also making templates at the same time. So
your lines go from skinny to wide.
Yeah, your bends on your smaller radiuses are going to be closer together, and on the bigger radius, they're going to be farther apart. But what you want to do is always make a center bend. Like whenever I laid out, this started off flat, so this was a circle right here. Whenever I started, I got my center point, and I always want a center point, and then just keep the brake lines even from end to end. It doesn't matter the spacing in between them. Of course, the farther apart you go, the more rigid the piece is gonna look. So we're sticking with a 1/2 inch up here and almost 3/16 on the other end. And that should give us, if you can sort of see, a nice contour shape. So whenever it's all done, my plan is hopefully be able to take a DA and run over that out of the aluminum and make it look round. It won't look bump broke. We want to make sure that when we're done, it looks like something they could have gone to the shop and bought. Otherwise, we haven't done what we was trying to do.
That's right. So, tell everybody who you are, Jeremiah.
I'm Jeremiah. I own my own business. I do a welding business, fabrication, Stewart Custom Fab out of Seagrove. Been doing that for a couple of years. Do a lot of certified welding and things like that. Really want to get more into this, and me and Jeremy's known each other for a while, so I said, well, if you're interested, I'll come help you. We got a lot of experience doing stuff like this, but with different scale of equipment, and we're just shrinking down all that knowledge to a part this big instead of a part so big it wouldn't fit on this table.
So what Jeremiah is saying is, and the industry that he's normally in, he would use this same concept as in like dust collection or sawmills or duct work or air duct work and stuff like that, where you have to make duct work on the fly. So it's the same concept and the same theory behind it. He's just taking everything that he's learned in pipe welding. He's certified in all different types of pipes, and then he's taking that information and consolidating it down and using the same process, but we're just doing something different on the automotive side versus the industrial side.
That's right. And doing it a lot more old school too.
Yeah, so like
we don't have nobody to give measurements to and plug them into a computer and tell us exactly what the part's going to
Yeah,
be.
so
we're figuring it out.
So what he's saying is, we got CAD, AutoCAD, you got blueprint drawing, you got all that stuff where we would kind of just have something roughly on paper. You tell somebody in the office, they would run it up on the computer, they type it up, and then they would put you a drawing out and it'd be on a piece of paper. Then you'd come back and then you would just follow their measurements, but you give them all the information. And that is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing too, because most of the time the person that's drawing the part for you in the office has no ass idea what you're actually doing. And they don't know the concept of it, of what the functionality is. They just say, hey, look, they just need this and I don't know how it's gonna work. But by doing it in the field and doing it hands-on, you learn that experience over time that, in Jeremiah's experience, he knows, okay, this ain't gonna work. It might work on paper in theory, but in reality, it's not gonna work. So that's what he was saying earlier, that he's using this flashing material as a template, and then we'll take that template, we'll transfer that over to see if this template works, then in theory, it should work in the aluminum. But there's anything could happen. The aluminum, it probably won't cooperate, whatever, and then you have to adjust it on the fly to make it look nice and be cosmetic appealing. So Jeremiah does travel, boys and girls. He does travel. So he has gone to other states, like doing pipe work, gas pipe work. He's certified in all types of TIGging, stick welding, wire welding, aluminum welding. He taught at didn't you teach at the University of High Point?
I taught at Guilford Tech. I taught at MCC.
Yeah, Guilford Tech, and
That's been years ago. I taught at Guilford Tech about 14 years ago, and then I taught at MCC probably 18 years ago, something like that.
But you still was there though, so
Yeah.
it still counts. Still counts. So, y'all got any questions? I'm gonna put all of his stuff. I'm gonna put his stuff down in the description, but I am gonna do this right quick right here. Here's his patch on his shirt. So everybody got that patch. Screenshot it. If you local, Virginia, Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, y'all hit him up because he does a lot of stuff too. He actually, just let him know. He's a car guy too. He has got a
69 Firebird.
yeah, he's got a 69 Firebird, aka Fire Chicken. So he's got that. Y'all got any more questions? Y'all got anything y'all want me to ask? There's a pretty good amount of people on here. What's up, 4830? How's it going? Probably gonna stay on here about, I don't know, about 4 or 5 more minutes. And if we ain't got nothing else, we got a lot of stuff to do. What's up, Chrissy? So, like I said, I'm gonna put his information down after this post, after I go live, after I post this. I'll put his information, his email address. We just sitting here back listening. What's up? Hey, Big Fish, I'm glad you on here, big dog. I talked to a guy this morning. I stopped at the exhaust shop. Well, it's actually the BP. They do a bunch of other stuff. And the guy that bought the place, Kyle, he's probably in his mid-30s maybe. I was asking him if he had some exhaust pipe. And he said, yeah, he had it in stock, and they had it in 8-foot sticks. And I said, that's cool. He said that, man, I got something I want to show you. And I said, what's that? And I go in, he said, man, I bought this thing, man. And he said, I want to know if we get any parts. He's got the same truck you got, big dog. He's got the same truck you got. Custom cab and all. It's a big block truck, though. It's a 352. I think that's what he told me. Either 352 or 351. And here is the crazy thing about it, Big Fish. Do you know where you had your fuel system run up around the distributor and it come around and you had your fuel regulator right there beside the distributor? Remember where you had that on your truck, on your F100? That's exactly where they had on this truck, similar. It sprung a leak and there was a crack on the back side of the distributor. You see where I'm going with this? And it sprayed fuel into the distributor. And when it was sparking, it caught the truck on fire. And it caught on fire. It burnt that. They got the truck put out. It burnt the wiring harness a little bit. And it burnt the air filter and some other stuff. And it blistered the paint on the bottom of the hood. And this guy bought the truck from that person. And when he told me that, I took him to your YouTube channel. Yeah, I took him to your YouTube channel and showed him your truck. And he said, I showed him what you started. Well, first what I did is I showed him what it looked like now in the paint. When you done the walk around in the paint, he's like, oh man, that thing's nice. I said, now let me show you what he started with. And then I showed one of the videos where you had it underneath the canopy out front of your house. And it was red and black, and you had the frame covered up and stuff. I showed him that. I said, this is what he started with, and this is what he's got. And he's been working on it less than a year, almost a year maybe, plus or minus. And he's like, man, that thing looks good. And then I showed him where your fuel line was. And he's like, man. And I said, but you moved it. You put stainless steel braided lines all the way down, and you changed it. And he said, yeah, man, that is not no good. So he was looking for some sheet metal panels, the torque boxes, the cab bracket up at the front, the cab support bracket that's bolted, the spot welded to the chassis or to the box, to the cab. That right there needs to be replaced and some other stuff like that. But yeah, he's excited. He's going to take the body off the chassis, and he's a mechanical guy. So he's going to do all the chassis stuff. He's going to do all the engine, transmission. It's automatic too. He's going to get it all running and driving. And then he's going to put a new wiring harness in it. And he's going to set the body back on it. And he's not going to paint it. He's going to leave it like it is. It's got a good patina on it. It's green and white. And that's the way he's going to leave it. I told him that he needed to go down to the Run to the Sun. You might be down there with your F100 and get some ideas. So, but all right, we're coming up on the 30-minute mark. If ain't nothing pressing, I guess I'm gonna go and get off of here because I'm gonna finish up. I gotta take the rest of that exhaust off. I got it good and tacked up. I'm gonna take it out, put it on the table, weld it up solid, put it back in there, and then put the flange on it for the catalytic converter, and go ahead and start hanging the muffler where I want it, and then I can run the pipe from there to there. So. Hey, Big Fish, it's almost 70 degrees here today, buddy. Almost 70. I got the door shut. Jeremiah said, man, why ain't you got the doors open? they're doing a controlled burn and, don't want the shop all smoked up. Yeah, I learned to have no brakes on the fuel line up there. Yeah, yep, yeah, solid. Yeah, you did good by moving that and changing it. All right, I'll probably go back live again this evening around 6, 5 or 6. Wait, yeah, we're going to the gym tonight, so I'll probably go back live around 5, or maybe when I get back. Probably do it when we get back and give y'all an update on what Jeremiah's got done. And remember, he's from Stewart Custom Fab. It's in Seagrove, North Carolina. The phone number is 336-318-5645. All right, and so I'll put all that stuff in the description, his email address and all that stuff. And if y'all got any kind of work, not saying that he won't do it, not saying he will do it. You just have to let him know what you got, and then he can go from there. All right, boys and girls, remember what I said. Don't worry about the man up the road or down the road. Sweep off your own front porch before sweeping on anybody else's. Put God first, let loose and grab. Peace, some chicken.